Kathy McCormack with TCEQ's Water Availability Division has kindly agreed to join us and is going to be chatting about that. So we've got her screen share on, it looks like, and we'll just wait for the camera.
Sorry, didn't realize.
Good afternoon, Kathy. Thanks so much for joining us. So we see you, we see your screen, and we see the TGPC's website, and there's PowerPoint. All right. Now we see your power. There you go. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kathy. I'll turn it over to you.
Great. As long as you can see the PowerPoint okay without the GoToWebinar panel on top of it. You don't see that, do you?
No, it looks perfect.
Okay.
And we hear you just fine as well. Thank you.
All right, great. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to tell you about the Texas Ground Protection Committee's Joint Groundwater Monitoring and Contamination Report and the associated viewer application that was developed at the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. In 1989, the legislature created the Texas Groundwater Protection Committee. The TGPC is a pseudo-state agency because it has no official staff or funding. However, it does have a representative from each of the following 10 state agencies and organizations. These 10 members all deal with groundwater in some form or fashion. The legislature designated TCEQ as the chair of the committee and the Texas Water Development Board as the vice chair. The Texas Alliance of Groundwater Districts is one of the TGPC members. Here's how the TGPC defines groundwater and groundwater contamination. Groundwater is found below the land surface in the zone of saturation, and groundwater contamination is any detrimental alteration of the naturally occurring quality of groundwater. One of the statutory responsibilities of the TGPC is the publication of the annual Joint Groundwater Monitoring and Contamination Report, or Joint Report. This report describes the status of groundwater monitoring activities, protection programs, and contamination cases in the state. The Texas Water Code Section 5.236 requires TCEQ to notify appropriate local officials if groundwater contamination under the jurisdiction of an agency in the TGPC may affect drinking water supplies in the local official's area. In addition to individual notices that go out, notification of the joint report availability is mailed to county judges, local public health authorities, and GCDs. This notice, along with the joint report, serve as a secondary notification under this statute. Known groundwater contamination locations can be helpful to GCDs in their permitting of new water wells and aquifer storage and recovery or managed aquifer recharge projects. Joint report information can also be useful to GCDs in their water quality monitoring and well plugging efforts. The TCEQ Groundwater Contamination Viewer is an interactive online map which currently includes the active cases from the 2015 through 2018 joint reports, as well as the cumulative list of inactive cases found in the 2018 joint report. The viewer is updated with each new report. In this viewer, users can query the database and obtain spatial relationship information about the cases. Note that the viewer works best in Chrome, and there is a user guide available. I'm going to go to the viewer now for a quick demo, but I'd like to let you know that there is contact and reference information at the end of this presentation file. So there's my contact information, plus Cindy Hooper, who's the actual project manager for the joint report right now. She had a schedule conflict. So I'm doing my best to fill in for her related to the joint report. And here are a couple of references. So I'm going to escape out of here and go to the demo. And here, I got to move this out of the way a little bit here. Let me stick it down here. All right, so can you guys see the TGPC homepage? Do I need to move anything?
Yes. We see your browser at the TGPC webpage.
Okay, good. All right, so there's the TGPC homepage in all its glory. It's a clearinghouse of information. It has lots of links. If you scroll down, you'll see the member organizations, and here's the Texas Alliance of Groundwater Districts page. So there are daughter pages, and when you hover over the daughter pages, you get a flyout, and the flyouts are just the headings on each of the daughter pages. And down here under water wells, abandoned wells, there's actually some Texas Alliance of Groundwater Districts information about cost share programs for water well plugging. So that's there. Also, there's the meetings, about the TGPC. There's a meetings page. We have quarterly main committee meetings, quarterly subcommittee meetings. Here's a page about the subcommittees, our publications, including the joint report. You can see the 2019 joint report just came out with the June publication date, so that's right there, and some contact information. So here's the TCEQ homepage. It's got an alert right now related to the Lake Jackson water situation. And if you were to search the TCEQ, I gave you a direct link to the viewer's splash page in the presentation. But if you went to the TGPC website, we've got links to the viewer on the TGPC website in certain locations, particularly on the publications page right under the reference to the joint report, since the viewer is based on the joint report. But if you went to the TCEQ homepage and searched on GIS viewers, it's thinking, bear with me. All right, so the very first search result brings you to a page with a list of the TCEQ geographic web apps or viewers. And there's several of them, as you can see here, that may be of interest to you, particularly the water well report viewer. There's also a relatively new priority groundwater management areas and groundwater conservation districts viewer. But we're going to look at the groundwater contamination viewer. And here's the splash page. So this is the landing page when you click on that. I wanted to make sure that you saw that because there's a user guide. Hint, hint, user guide. Feel free to read through the user guide. It's not too long, although it says 12 pages. There's a lot of pictures in it. And I recently updated the user guide because our water availability division's phone number changed, and we got our own groundwater proxy email box, and so I threw that in here. But anyway, so that's the viewer, and just wanted to point out that you really should take a look at the user guide first, and then here's the big fat button to bring you to the viewer. So before we go there, I will let you know that last week the viewer was working fine. Our IRD GIS people had made an upgrade, and there were some issues. We got those straightened out. And even last Thursday, when I was talking to the GIS person about the viewer, it was working just fine, hunky-dory. So, of course, I have to do a live demo. And over an hour ago, when I went to check, it wasn't showing the 2018 layer like it was supposed to. So I'm gonna give it a chance. It's not showing it. So I'm gonna go up here. I have an agency viewer at home with a little bitty screen. Before I go to actually turn on some points, I will point out there's a little information widget here that you can pop up and read through. There's the home button. There's the usual search box. We've got some links here at the top. This actually goes, SFR-056 is the actual publication number for the JART report. So that brings you to its page right here. And there's a reference to the viewer there and how to request information. There's a link to the actual joint report itself, and I'll click on that just to show you what it looks like. This is the actual printed document that is in the process of being mailed out. Folks were in at the office putting mailing labels on letters anyway. But this is the JART report for 2019. It came out in June of this year. It's for through last year. So anyway, that's the JART report. There's a link. There's two links here at the top for little what I call cheat sheets. So when we get into actually looking at pop-ups for points, there's some codes that you probably wouldn't know what they stand for. And so there's a little divisions cheat sheet that talks about some of the codes that show up, some of the acronyms that show up in the pop-up. And there's another cheat sheet for status codes. All right, and so we'll see where you need to actually go look these things up if needed. All right, and another link to our favorite user guide. So all of that is working, and the viewer is supposed to come up with green diamonds, but as you can see, it is not. And that's because when you go to the layer list, so my little bitty laptop screen isn't able to show all the icons in the green banner like it would if you were on your desktop or if I was on my desktop at work. So you just have to click over here and it'll expand the different icons. So if we go to the layer list, like I did about an hour ago, we can see that for some strange reason, there is no 2018 active cases layer, which is the default. So I'm going to turn on the 2017 layer, which were red circles. There you go. All right, so we got red circles. These are points on the map. I also will turn that off so that you can see if you turn on the major aquifers. There's a bunch of supporting layers in here which show up. There's the major aquifers. You are very familiar with those. Here's some groundwater conservation, the groundwater conservation districts layer that we have in the viewer, and they will come up as well with 50% transparency, just like the major aquifers. And just to scroll down and show you the other things that are here, for example, here's the Texas House districts, polygons, okay? So let's turn the 2017 active cases on. Don't know why the 2018 active cases aren't in here. The inactive cases for 2018 are here, but it was there yet last week and now it's not. All right, so we zoom in. I'm going to, where I'm familiar with the Austin, Round Rock area. And when you click on a point, you get a pop-up. And you can see that it's saying, it's TCEQ, it's in Williamson County, REM PST division. Wonder what that means. So it says division. So I go up to my division cheat sheet, and I can see that REM PST is for the Remediation Division Petroleum Storage Tank Program. So that's what I was talking about, the little cheat sheet. Take a look here. All right, so division is that. It's not a new case, otherwise there'd be a little star there. File name, file number, location, contamination description, the date it was posted, I suppose. And here's some more codes: enforcement status 2, activity status 6, data quality EQ. What does that mean? Well, I go to the other cheat sheet, the status codes cheat sheet. I'm going to look for 2 for enforcement status, as far as status 2. So here's enforcement status 2. That means that this case is under staff action. And looks like you got some little clarifications. It can be 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. I'm not quite sure. It just says 2. Sometimes there'll be letters there. Activity status 6. So we go down, we look, here's enforcement status. We go down to activity status. Here's activity status 6. So action completed. And again, there can be A through E, looks like. And this is not giving me any more detail, but that's just an example of what's here. Also, it's saying 1 of 2 in the pop-up, and that's because I was close to a county boundary. And if you click on a point that's close to a county boundary, you get both things. So it's telling me also Williamson County was there in that location. All right, so that's the pop-up I wanted to show you. Let's see, what else? All right, so then we're going to go to one of the tools here. We got file name search, file number search, and contamination description search. We're going to go to file name search. And normally there would be a green diamond layer here for the active cases for 2018, but for some strange reason it's not showing today. And I'm going to click on the 2017. So I want to check the active cases as of the 2017 joint report. And the file name search tool comes up with an example default of airport. We're going to search for any file name that contains airport within the full extent of the map. All right, so we're going to hit apply. Cross our fingers. All right, so this is showing that there's 7 cases in the 2017 joint report that had the word airport in their file name. And you can see them here in the list. This little thing up here will expand or collapse them all. There you go. So now they're down in 1 line only. You could, if you clicked on one of them, it'll zoom in to that case. And there's that same pop-up that we saw when we just did it without doing one of these search tools. REM corrective action, CA stands for corrective action, and it tells you the information. Its contamination is TPH. There's a B, so there's a 3B enforcement status, 3B. All right, so that's the story with file name search on airport, which is the default. But I could go back to the task tab and I could put in something else like landfill. And I'm actually going to zoom out a little bit here so I get all of Dallas-Fort Worth in the picture. And instead of returning features within the full extent of the map, I'm going to do only within the current map extent. All right, so let's look for landfills in the file name, the 2017 joint report, for only within the current extent of the map. And looks like there's 16 of them. All right, so the other thing I was going to show you is this little tool here, feature actions. You can do a bunch of things that's all described in the user guide. And one of them is view an attribute table. So down here at the bottom, it's not showing, I could pop it up, but if I go to view an attribute table, and I've got something in my way over here, so let me stick this up here. Okay, so this is showing 16 features in the attribute table. It's the same 16 features that came up in the query. And you could scroll down, you could see all those same 16 of them, right? Over here under options, you could export all 16 of them to CSV. So you would get a CSV file, like an Excel file, with all 16 of these search results. And so that's awfully nice to have. Now, if the default 2018 green diamond layer was showing like it's supposed to, there would be another tab here. And you could have opened the attribute table and I could have shown you that tab and it would have been the 2018, all 3,000 some cases, but it's not showing. So I apologize for that. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to minimize the attribute table. I'm going to close the file name search. All of the search results circles go away. And if I can get over to, sorry, I'm moving I have to move things around to get to the home button. There you go. There's the home button. All right. So I believe that's the end of my demo. And I will go back to here and show my contact information. Any questions?
Thank you so much for that, Kathy. One person did ask whether this would work without ArcGIS, the viewer.
Say again?
If it would work without ArcGIS?
Oh, yes, it totally works. It's ArcGIS Online. So it's all in the cloud. That's why I can't fix it. I have to get our IRD people to go and do things to fix it. Like I said, it was working last week. Green diamonds for the 2018 cases. But you don't need ArcMap. That's why we did it. You know, we actually did it for our management for when they're down at the Capitol during a session a number of years ago. They could bring it up on their phone if a legislator walked up to them and asked them about cases within their particular district, and they'd be able to tell them right then. So that's one of the main reasons why it came up, but also because, you know, that joint report publication, that document, has no spatial information at all. It's just a table of the cases, and it actually didn't even. Actually, I think it did. I think it was the Railroad Commission cases that didn't, but it should have had a column there for a lat long. But what is the good? What does it tell you? You know, your mind can't place a lat long anywhere, and so having a visual is so important. So.
Yep, wonderful. Well, I'll give folks a second if they want to raise a hand to ask a question, but I don't see any popping up or any others in the questions tab.